Case continues today on Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. Energy is very important to any nation. It drives productivity. It's a very, very viable infrastructure that can also contribute to the gross domestic product growth of an economy. And in this period, beyond the regular usage of fuel, that's a refined crude oil, there is an interesting increasing need to invest in renewable energy. And that is now even the core focus of the current administration in Nigeria as they rolled out the economic sustainability plan. So we'll be looking today at renewable energy and Nigeria's economic sustainability. And with me to discuss this is Mr. Segun Adaju. He's the President of Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria and CEO of Consistent Energy Solutions. Good morning and nice to have you on the show. Mr. Segun Adaju, can you hear me? Good morning. Well, slight technical glitch there to connect with him. He was already prepared to join us as we did the pre-test. But let's just give you insight into why renewable energy has become very critical to the market, particularly in Nigeria and in Africa. Reports from various analyses have shown that there are a huge population of over 100 million that are still not connected to electricity, whether in the rural or urban areas in Africa. And investment in renewable energy has become a veritable strategy to deepen access to energy for Africa. As we said earlier, energy, that's power, is a very critical infrastructure that can help transform the continent, deepen industrialization, and also take it to the next level as a key economic region in the globe. I just want to take on now, Mr. Segun Adaju, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Nice to have you. I introduced you already as the President of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria and CEO of Consistent Energy Solutions. I was just talking about the fact that power is very critical as an infrastructure that can drive industrialization in any economy. And today we are looking at the renewable energy and Nigeria's economic sustainability. As you're aware, recently the federal government, to the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, who chaired the economic sustainability and rolled out the whole strategy for the plan, which was approved by the President and the Federal Executive Council. And solar energy is critical in that plan in providing access to power off-grid to millions of Nigerians. How do you feel seeing that integration of the solar energy project into the ESP?
Good morning once again. My apologies, I seem to be having some little technical challenges data-wise. I'm trying to fix it.
Yes.
So for now, let me just put up my video, and I hope you can hear me. All right, so thank you so much. It's nice to be back. To the program. Great job you're doing. I must say, it's very well done.
Thank you.
So my name is Segun Adaju. As you've introduced me, I'm the President of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, and I run a solar energy company, and we push what we call Solar Direct. We encourage people to deploy solar power instead of burning money on generators. Right. So, so this morning we're talking about the Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan, with special reference to renewable energy. Okay, so this plan was put in place by government exactly June 24, 2020. Was approved by the Federal Executive Council, and it was developed under this committee that was chaired by the Vice President of the Federation of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osibanjo. Okay, and then I must also say that this plan was developed in conjunction with several cabinet ministers, and also including the group managing director of NNPC, the governor of Central Bank, and then they also had very strong interaction with and consultations with state governors, national assembly. So it was it's a well thought out plan. The plan is to last for about 12 months, and the total budget is about 2.3 trillion naira. And I must also say that this plan is seen as a transit between the economic recovery and growth plan that we all know as ERGP, and then the successor plan that is being incubated. Let me also tell you that recently the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning have set up from about 26 or 27 technical working groups that is developing some plans that will succeed the ERGP and also plan for Nigeria. And what are these plans? The medium-term national development plan that will cover year 2021 to 2025, and also what we call the Nigeria Agenda 2050. Okay, so in that transition period, because it's going to take about 1 year to develop this plan, the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan is to, hold that brief for that period. I'm happy to also tell you that I'm one of the experts that has been appointed by the Minister of Finance to develop that plan for Nigeria, and I will be working on that. We're already working anyway. I'm working on the power and alternative energy technical working group. Okay, so that's the overview of this very important plan. Let me also say the plan covers several sectors. You have agriculture, you have housing, you have renewable energy, particularly solar, you have the healthcare sector, you have MSMEs, and all. So we'll be happy to discuss further on the renewable energy components of this plan this morning.
Yes. Mr. Segun, if you can proceed to speak about the renewable energy component of the plan, because it's even nice to hear that you've been appointed to a technical committee on power alternatives energy solutions, which shows that your work and the REA is being acknowledged in the country.
Right. So thank you so much. Let me just give a brief about the renewable energy. I mean, particularly solar was mentioned. The plan under the Economic Sustainability Plan for Nigeria. So the plan is to target about 5 million households to benefit from what we call solar home systems. Okay, so these are solutions that basically provide power for off-grid communities, even including urban and peri-urban centers. So the idea is 5 million units of these systems will be deployed over a period of 12 months. And what are the objectives? Number one is to create about 250,000 jobs during this period. So 250,000 jobs is expected to be created by this over a period of 12 months. And please let me also remind you that the plan itself is called, is tagged bouncing back. And basically we know what has happened during the COVID period. I mean, several companies are affected, SMEs are closing shops, people are losing their jobs. So this plan is to just put people back on their feet, if I can use that word. So bouncing back. It's 250 jobs will be created. Some will be retained from the people who have lost their jobs because of COVID-19. An additional one will be created, totaling about 250,000. 5 million houses will be powered by this solution. And if you power 5 million houses, you are indirectly impacting average of 25 million Nigerians. How did we arrive at that? So we are assuming that an average of 5 people in a household, and if you and I know pretty very well, it could be higher than that, okay? So let me use my own household, for example. Okay, so my household is 6. Okay, so you can imagine. And so there are others that might have more than that. So a minimum 25 million people will be impacted by this intervention over a period of 12 months. In addition to this, the total budget is about 250 billion naira. So now you can imagine the multiply effect of 250, 250 billion naira that is pumped back into the economy. So more jobs will be created. There will be value chain additions. There will be, our economists were taught multiplier. Okay, so that means that 240 billion could be multiplied in a number of ways, depending on how soon our money is circulated and recirculated. Okay, so it's a very important plan for Nigeria. And I'm also mentioned here that the plan, the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan, also has about 4 key objectives that this solar also will look at. Number 1 is local content. So it will promote a lot of local content. So local companies like my company, like members of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, will be highly encouraged to participate, and government contracting will take cognizance of local content. That's 1. Number 2 is also labs stimulate the economy. Number 2. Number 3 is job creation and preservation. I mentioned that earlier. Yeah. And then number 4, it will be pro-poor. It will focus on things that affect the poor very, very strongly. So that's the overview of looks like, and really an exciting period.
Yeah, very, very interesting plan from what I'm seeing, and particularly from our last discussion where you talked about the need to integrate the renewable energy local players into the whole activity, and that seems to be really happening. But in terms of the financing measures, how are your members working to see that they can really assess this financing to really even achieve the energy for all project, because it's a huge, massive project that you're into now. And we're going to see that they're taking the local players seriously. You also talked about last time the need for supports, guarantees that can make you establish more local solar huge plants to produce and also create opportunities in the economy. How is your association discussing around this to see that they can begin this whole activity working together?
Okay, so talking about financing measures and also members of the industry. So we see this as an opportunity for local companies. Like I said, you have a strong local content implication. Okay, so local companies will have an opportunity to access funding. So this 240 billion is a funding framework. So a company like a member of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria can apply for long-term tenured, low-cost funding to deploy this technology to beneficiaries, and also create what we call an on-lending framework for beneficiaries. So, for example, my company will power barber shops. So that means we can access this funding, deploy to barber shops, and then allow them to pay in bits. Okay, so that will create further financing. So we raise funding from that platform, and we create further funding financing measures. Then also, it will encourage financial institutions, particularly development financial institutions like Bank of Industry, like Development Bank of Nigeria, like commercial banks, Sterling, EcoBank, FCMB, just name them, and all of them. We also, create a portfolio of opportunity. So they are seeing that government has created 240 billion. they can leverage on that. So we call it leverage. So if we are looking at about 10 times, that means the industry will be looking at about 2.4 trillion naira investable fund for the sector. All right. So this is one thing that we thank the government for taking that step, because definitely banks will see that, oh, government is actually lending to this sector. We are seeing people being powered. So let me create a loan portfolio as a bank and lend to the sector. It's becoming money, and I can make more money from that side. So these are the financing measures we're seeing. And also we're expecting that there will be some incentives that will also support this sector. Okay, so
what kind of incentives are you looking at? Fiscal policy, additional fiscal measures?
Yes, we're looking at fiscal policies also, both fiscal and monetary policy framework. So the monetary, for example, interest rates, concession, which the plan has already put in place, trying to move liquidity into the sector, where government uses monetary policies to move funding into the sector. For example, there's the liquidity ratio that government uses, and there's a minimum loan ratio that CBN is using now. So banks are expected to put a minimum, I think about 60%, if I'm correct, into loan portfolio. Exactly. If you don't meet it, central bank will debit you and keep it somewhere. Okay, so these are monetary pressures. So banks will be seeing an opportunity to say, well, I was scared of investing my money before, but now I can see an opportunity to invest. Instead of CBN debiting me, let me invest in that sector. They are monetary policies. The fiscal policies, we're expecting tax incentives. And I must use this opportunity to also clamor for this very strongly, because our members are the industry, we are clamoring for it. Recently, government brought out a gazette that removed value-added tax, VAT, from some renewable energy technologies, particularly solar. So we expect that will increase affordability. It will reduce the cost by almost 20.
So in terms of projects that are on ground.
Yes. Unfortunately, recently we saw, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so let me just round this up. So FRS came out with a letter recently saying that that does not exist any longer. And we're saying, I mean, let that be in place. The ripple effects of allowing VAT-free business is high. We did an analysis across the West African region now, and we noticed that in Nigeria, just 0.29% of government VAT revenue is from solar. So it's almost insignificant. So if you remove it, the multiplier effect in creating jobs will be much more higher than what you are losing in 0.29%. Okay, so those are the kind of incentives we're expecting government to further put in place.
So indeed, the tax incentive from the government at this time is very critical for your solar renewable projects. That's what you're saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, especially now that government is putting their money where they are, I mean, you put your money where your mouth is, right? So government is putting its money in solar. So you are encouraging the industry to grow. You should not also, on the other side, be stifling that same industry. So I expect that under this 240 billion framework and funding opportunity for solar, for this 5 million solar home systems, this VAT issue should come up under it.
Now, I know that some of your members are also looking at setting up their plans and projects, which is very good. And one area that you will be looking at is the new FX regime, the foreign exchange management approach. As you know, the Central Bank of Nigeria is moving towards unification of the exchange rate. And of course, that is an area that your players, your colleagues will be looking at in terms of importing some of the products that they would need to build up the plants to really achieve this integration of solar and renewable energy for Nigerians. Are you having discussions to see if you can have a priority consideration in FX allocation? Because those are part of the issues I believe that should be of concern to your industry.
Okay, so thank you so much. I'm an economist and I believe in market forces in determining the price of any product or service. I also belong to the school of thought that supports exchange rates that is not too diverse. Okay, so having multiple regime not good for the system. It creates rents. We call it rents in economics. So some people can buy at very cheap rates, maybe at official rate, and go and sell at market rates, making strong profits arbitraging. So I believe in unification of the foreign exchange in any economy. Okay, so I support that. So I think it's also a step in the right direction. Although we also need to, I also know that in developing economies, there are different frameworks for foreign exchange. There are managed foreign exchange regime. There are floating foreign exchange regime. A country will have to look at where they are in terms of development to determine the kind of foreign exchange regime we want to adopt. But
what do you think works for Nigeria, particularly for your industry at this time?
Well, I think it's a combination of managed and floating. There are still other regime that exists. You might not just throw your foreign exchange regime into so much influence, especially external influences. So both managed and floating can work together. Okay, so I believe that we have too much multiple exchange rates and we need to narrow them down. But at the same time, we also need to avoid a situation where the fluctuation in the exchange rate is too sudden. One thing we have witnessed in Nigeria in the last couple of years is stability. So we've seen when dollar, for example, move from 156 to say 180, and then move to around 300 and 308, 360, 320, and it was stable for a long time. So stability is the most critical thing that Nigeria needs. We don't want to see too much fluctuations. If it fluctuates too much, you cannot plan. So for example, now exchange, we've seen from 360 to 380. We don't know what the open market is doing now. It's over 400, 450. I'm hearing 472. Okay, so it's the instability that is the most dangerous for any economy and particularly our industry. So people are stocking products. They don't know what the exchange rate will be when they want to restock. Nobody wants to go into some foreign loan right now. So you don't know what the foreign exchange will be when you are paying back. But if you're able to plan, and you know that just like we witnessed in the last 2-3 years in some stability, so if we know that in 2-3 years there will be stability, even if it is at this price that it is, you can. Okay, so those are the challenges that I think we have in the industry, and I feel this also affects other sectors.
Now, Mr. Segun, in terms of assessing the facility, the 240 billion, how has it been so far? How many members have been able to assess it? What's the discussions going on in this regard? Because the project is massive, the target is unique, it's a welcome development, but the ability to assess it and get that required support to set up necessary plans that can really achieve this becomes imperative.
All right, thank you so much. So I think the framework for assessing this funding is currently being developed. I'm sure it's at the final stages. I also know that the implementing parties that has been named include the Federal Ministry of Power, the Rural Electrification Agency, we are happy about this, and also the Niger Delta Power Holding Company. We know that strong local content is being promoted, so we feel that members of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria and other local sector players are positioned to access this funding. I also to tell you that immediately this also was passed, committee also, that should be liaising with the agency that is implementing this, liaising with the committee by the of Nigeria to know that we are very ready to support the government in achieving objectives of this plan. Okay, so I've put up ourselves to say we're willing to also, we're volunteering to work with government to ensure that this happens and this 5 million Nigerians can actually access this intervention. Okay, so we're waiting for the final fine-tuning, the template, the criteria to assess this. I can tell you, and why am I saying that? Our members have worked very extensively and very well with the Rural Electrification Agency, even the Niger Data Power Holding Companies. Some of our members have worked with them. I remember there was this 20,000 solar home system that was launched by the Vice President some 3 or 4 years ago, working with the Niger Data Power Holding Company, and is a member of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, was the implementing partner. So we already know how it works. We are partnering with Rural Electrification Agency on energizing economies, some of our members. Okay, so we are ready and we commit that we will make this a success for government.
Okay, Mr. Segun, let me just take you on just 2 questions in one quickly. What do you look at the outlook for renewable energy for the second half of the year? Prior to COVID, the expectation by the National Energy Agency was that renewables, biofuel production, the consumption will be around over 3% globally. But of course, COVID has come and there are its own challenges. And then for your industry and of course the ESP and Nigeria, will be your closing thoughts in terms of how to approach this to scale the opportunities there to deepen energy access to Nigerians?
Okay, thank you much. Also use this opportunity to say that while other markets are probably projecting, and particularly renewable energy, growth around 3%, 2.5, 2.8, I can tell you the West African, the African market, particularly Nigeria, is projected to grow at a higher ratio. Between 5 to, I can tell you between 5 to even 7% in some region. Why is it this? Because the energy access gap is higher in this region, particularly Sub-Saharan Africa, than in the other parts of the world. Okay, so it's projected that while other parts of the world are witnessing very little growth, Sub-Saharan Africa, particularly Nigeria, will witness much more growth. That's one. Secondly, we've seen the importance of renewable energy, particularly distributed renewable energy, and I'll use solar power, for example. We've seen the role it has played during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the role it will play even after. So we're seeing isolation centers quickly being powered by solar. We're seeing testing facilities. We're seeing health centers adopting solar in 72 hours. And I'll take a particular example of Igbobi Orthopedic Hospital in Lagos, that one of our members, and I'll mention particularly the name, Oxano, working with Olon, they powered that within, less than a week. If you had waited for the national grid, it would have taken a longer time.
Yeah.
And we're getting feedbacks from our members that most of these companies had more deployment, and we're having more deployment during this period than before COVID-19. Why is it this? People are more at home, they need more power. So I am working from home, this is my home office, and I'm working from a place completely powered by solar.
Yeah.
So people need more power because they are at home. We're having school children doing online schooling, they need power. We're seeing agricultural produce and food and other items needing preservation. So We have seen that people need more power right now than pre-COVID-19. Yes, for storage. And then many people are saying, really, we never knew that solar, renewable energy, decentralized renewables is this very serious that it can work. So we're expecting more growth after COVID-19 in this sector for Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Like you said, most importantly, renewable energy is a very, very good opportunity, and we hope that we can have much of affordability for the huge market, because it has the potential to reach out to millions of Nigerians, particularly in the rural areas. Nice to hear that from you. And despite the fact that the IEA has said 3% growth globally, you are saying that the energy gap creates the opportunity for it to be 5 to 7% growth. And we hope that the fiscal incentives required, and of course the facility provided through the ESP, the 240 billion, will be quickly assessed by necessary stakeholders in your association to be able to carry out the work effectively. So hearing from you today, the ESP is commendable in terms of integrating solar energy, creating opportunities for your members, the need to assess those facilities and incentivize banks to also support your industry, and also the need for fiscal incentives from the federal government in the area of tax, also the fact that there's potential for more growth, and interesting to hear the activities of your members in terms of this period, that despite the pandemic, the easing of lockdown, REA is really active in terms of providing solar energy and renewables to the nation. And also I know that you've addressed the issue of the FX regime, the need for much clarity, because it's important for members who want to set up more plants, and we will have to import some of them. Looking also at producing it locally is very important. Thank you very much, Mr. Segun Adaju. We will have you subsequently to discuss on renewable energy, because with this investment by the federal government, the project of energy for all will be part of our watch, because power is very key. Like you said, we don't need to burn money on generators. So we need to see how this progresses to provide power for all Nigerians, especially in the rural areas. Thank you once again for the time to discuss renewable energy and Nigeria's economic sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That'll be all for the economy.
You can join the conversation by logging onto our website, www.prochange.com, to watch our videos with our news reports and also our analysis. Don't forget, by 10 a.m. we have the market review. You don't want to miss it. Developments in the financial and capital market as it relates to economy. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice time and stay safe.